Well, hello. Welcome to Elegant Sentiments today. Happy Thursday to you. I'm Cheryl Abernathy, the owner of Elegant Sentiments, and this is our weekly card share number 67. So thank you for joining me today. I'm sharing some Lisa Horton products that were developed by Spellbinders for Lisa Horton, as well as one of her metallic inks in today's project. So we are using the solid gold metallic ink, and from Spellbinders, we're using her layered anemone die set, and we're going to use that to create a flower. And then also I'm going to be using the You Make Me Smile stamp and sentiment, and I'm actually only going to be using these three pieces that make up that big smile sentiment. And this is the You Make Me Smile sentiment set. It's got some cutting dies to cut all of these supporting sentiments if you wanted to use those. But for today's card, we're just going to be using those three dies. And then also I'm using the stitched edge circle dies. So I'm going to be using one of the background dies, and I use these two dies also as part of today's project. So those are the products that we're going to be using. So let's go ahead and get started. I've done a little bit of pre-work. Let me show you our card for today. I've used some gold, the gold metallic ink to ink up a panel, and then I created the flower and the sentiment. So this is today's project. It's got nice little shine there on this project. Not a lot, but just enough. So that is our project. And some of the pre-work that I've done, I've got this panel. This is a 3 3/4 by 5-inch panel that I've die cut. I use this die, and I just die cut that into the upper portion of the panel to create that. So all we need to do then is ink this up. I'm going to bring in my sticky mat to help hold this down. I've got actually I'm going to use my Misty, I think, because it's a little stickier right now. I really need to wash my Lisa Horton mat. So I'm going to bring in my Misty and use the sticky mat for it that I have already in place. So let me bring that out, and I'll use the sticky mat to hold that down so I don't have to worry about it moving around on me. And we'll just go ahead and ink up this panel. I need to get myself a piece of scrap paper so I don't get my fingers too inked up as I'm doing this. But I'm really just going to ink this up and just come straight onto the panel. And I'm not worrying, this ink really blends well, so I'm not really worrying about blotches or any of that. So that makes it really nice to just go in there and just get a nice heavy coating of this metallic gold ink all across this panel. And that's all we're going to do to create this background. These products work well together. You get a ton of different designs. I'll show you another card that I made later using this very same design. I took this panel and I inked through onto a piece of white cardstock, and I used that as the backdrop. So you'll be able to see how I did that when I show you that card. So nothing goes to waste. I use all my pieces, and even the cutouts from this die cutting will be put to use as well. So nothing goes to waste. And I'm not really worried about even coverage. I like the nice little antique-y look I get with this approach to adding my ink. So I'm not super worried about having an ultra even coat. Just want to make sure that I get everything well coated. And just walking through, taking my ink brush. I haven't tried using the regular blending brushes. I prefer a stencil brush for the metallic inks. It just seems like they work a little better, or even a foam sponge works well too with the metallic inks. We're just going to keep going until we get this panel inked up. And this ink glides on so well. It's like butter. It glides so easily onto the cardstock, and it blends in really well, so you can blend that color out. And it kind of gives almost a suede-like effect when you're done, but it's shiny. Just a nice little shine. Nice little metallic shine. These inks, and when you put this ink on black cardstock, it's really gorgeous. It's very pretty here too, but if you try it on black card, it's so pretty. So that's pretty much all that I want to do with this panel. I've got a nice coating around. It's not even. It doesn't need to be for this particular card. So I'm going to call that part done. So put that back up, and then I can put my MISTI away because that's all. Oops. Don't stick your pen through your card like I just did. Fortunately, I'm going to be putting my sentiment down there, so I'm not worried about that too much. Then the next thing I want to do is adhere this to a no, you know what? I don't even think I'm going to add it to another panel. I'm just going to let me smooth that out a little bit. Let me get my bone folder. Smooth that some, just to be on the safe side, and then I'll just ink over it a little bit, and there you go. Okay, so then the other thing I want to do is add I did my sentiment in 3 layers. I showed you the 3 dyes that I used. I used the black cardstock for the largest die, white cardstock for the middle, and then some brush gold cardstock from Spellbinders to write to die cut the actual lettering. And so I took some of the pieces that came out of the die cut when I cut that out of white paper, and I'm just going to put these down here. But to know where I actually need to put these pieces, I need to. Am I going to use these two? I guess these two would work just as good as any of them. But I need to know exactly where to put it because I need room for this frame. So I'm going to be putting this frame down around my circle, and then I also want my sentiment to be centered. So in this space that's remaining. So with that down, it kind of lets me know where I want to put this. So if I have these pieces right there, that's pretty close to where I want them. So I'll move this down and let that stay in place. And I will add some glue to the back of this little zigzag. And I know I don't need glue all the way to the end just because it's going to hang over the edge and I'm going to trim it off. But I'm putting that glue on there, and then I'll just sit this down here, and it doesn't have to be exactly in the same spot that it was, but it just needs to be straight. So I want to make sure that I'm putting this piece down straight. And then I can go in and ink up or add glue to the back of this other little zigzag, and I can add it on top a little bit. That doesn't matter. I just want to make sure that the two pieces are connected. So I'm just adding some glue to the back of this. And then we'll put that down on top. And I just want to make sure my zigzag is continuing and make sure that it's fairly even, and it is. So then I'll take my scissors and just trim off this piece and these pieces that are hanging off the side. Just trim those off. Like that. So the next thing we want to do is to add our circle onto this panel. And this circle was cut using those two pieces out of the background dies that I showed you. That's where these two, this is where that circle came from. And again, I use that Spellbinders matte gold foil for that. I think matte or brushed. I think it's brushed gold, actually, is what they call it. And then we'll put that down. Okay. You just want to make sure that it's even around the little design there. Okay. And then after we have that, we can actually go ahead and add our panel to our card front, and then we can finish up with our flower and our die. And I like to always do just a little eyeball it, making sure that it looks straight on the card before I actually put it down. That looks pretty decent. So I will add some glue to this and put it down. Really simple card, but you get a great look from using these pieces together without a lot of fuss. Pretty easy, I think. So we got it glued, so we'll go ahead and put it onto our card base. Let me check and make sure. I'm really bad about putting yep, I got it right. I'm bad about putting that panel down onto the card base without checking. So I like to always check before I commit to make sure that it's going to open properly. And I think we're good to go there. Looks pretty straight. And it's funny when you're looking with these zigzags, everything, I kind of have to ignore the zigzags and look at the corners and make sure that those are straight, because the zigzags throw me off every time. But so now that's on there, then I can open it up and burnish the inside just to make sure we have a nice smooth contact there and that our panel's not going anywhere. And then we can take our sentiment that we've already die cut and assembled and put it down. I like the extra 3 layers. A lot of times you'll only see one shadow layer when a die set, but Lisa has double shadows on her dies, and I think that's a nice little added touch for your sentiments that you die cut. So that goes down there, and you just really want to make sure that it is centered under the circle and between your zigzags. And that looks pretty good. Do one more check before I commit. That looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and hold that down for a second or two. And then we will assemble the flower. Now I have gone ahead and die cut the flower. On these dies, there's a large flower using these two dies and a smaller flower using those two dies. This cuts out the leaves, this cuts out the stem, and then this cuts out the flower centers. So I've gone ahead and cut out the flower in white and the flower center in gold and the little accent on the flower center in white, and then my leaf and my stem are black. So I've gone ahead and cut those pieces. Now my trick is to get them from my other desk to this desk without losing these little pieces, because I didn't put them in a tray, which I should have. But we'll get them all transferred over here, and then we'll put these together and add it to the card front. And as you can see, this is really quick and easy. No stamping on this one. We did do some inking. And so let's go ahead and assemble the flower. And I just did, like I said, I did the larger of the two flowers. So I will put them together. I just like to check and make sure I got them right before I glue them. And I do. Okay, so we can put a little glue on this piece. And then we'll add this to the center, like so. And we'll let that dry. And while that's drying, we can add the other little accent piece to, I don't know if you can see this, but when you die cut it, there's a little ridge right here to show you where that accent piece goes. So I'm going to take that piece and I'll put a little bit of glue where I see the ridge. Get that around. Don't need a whole lot of glue. But now here's the fun part, trying to get this teeny little piece onto this flower tip without flipping it over. Okay, I think I got it. And just stick that on there. Okay, and then we'll let that dry. And then we'll go ahead and start putting the leaf onto, I want to put the stem onto the flower base first. And you just want to turn the stem right side up. You can see from looking at your cardstock whether you've got the front of the die cut or the back of the die cut. I just want to put that on the front of the die cut and put a little bit of glue there, and then add your flower to that stem and have it kind of stick out in that open space. And if you don't get it right in that open space, that's fine. It's just an easy reference point, I think. And then these two leaves, you want to put them one on either side. And what I like to do is just add a little bit of glue to the, okay, this one keeps flipping over. But I want to add a little bit of glue to the leaf itself, but I need to decide where I want it to go. So that looks pretty close. I don't want them in the exact same spot on the stem. So I'll put a little bit of glue on the tip of the leaf, and then add it underneath the flower and give it a second or two to adhere. And then we'll add the second one. and really easy to do. And I want that turned up a little bit, so we'll have that going a little more upward. And then we'll let that dry for a second. And while that's drying, we can add our flower center. And so I'll get that turned around the way that I want to put it on the flower. And then I'll add some glue to the center of the flower and stick down the flower center. Maybe. Here we go. Just give that a second or two to grab hold. And then I want to figure out where I actually want to put this on the flower, on the card front, because I want to connect the sentiment and the flower or the accent background. So I want to kind of like that. So I'll put a little bit of glue on the back here. And then I'll add a foam square. Let me find my smaller foam squares. Here we go. I'll add a smaller foam square to the back of it so that the flower petals will stick up a little bit on the card. I'll have a little dimension there. Okay, so we've got that off. And we'll just go ahead and stick this on. So I kind of know I want it going right about here, I think. And push that down there. I really wanted that over a little bit, but it doesn't matter. And then I'll just fluff up these corners or these petals using my fingers. You can fluff it up ahead of time, but for me, it's just as easy to fluff them once they're actually on the card. So, and then you can, what I do is I always, because they're so small, I just want to grab up as much of that ink, extra glue with my little pokey tool. It's going to dry clear, but I like having that excess out of the way when it dries. And there you have it, a really simple note card that was easy to put together. And you can send off a little smile. And if you want it on this one, I did add a little gold gem on top, but if you don't want to add the gold gem, you can have it just like that. So there you go. That's today's project. I thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to check out my blog. I blog on Wednesdays at elegantsentiments.com. And on my Facebook page, I'll post periodically throughout the week, Elegant Sentiments on Facebook. So I hope you will subscribe and follow me both places. If you like this video, please be sure to give me a thumbs up and join me again next Thursday. I'll be back live with another card to share. So I hope you have a fantastic week. And until we see each other again online, have a fantastic week and live graciously. Bye for now.